How dare you? I was getting professional here. I was trying. Okay, we're live now.
Pretty much, yeah. Yeah.
Yes, we were.
Okay. I think we had audio issues. Alfie, are we coming through now? I think we are.
Yeah, should be alright, hopefully.
Yeah, we should be good. Yeah, thanks for joining, guys. First episode of Let's Talk City on Bringing the Blues. Hopefully the audio is working now. Yeah, all good. Nice one for that, Alf. Thanks for joining as well. Yeah, it was just me. Yeah, it was just me. But we're good. We're all good. So we've got an all-star panel today. Obviously, you know, Luke and Patrick. Both guys have been on the channel before. It's Kel's first time on the channel. So thank you very much for joining us over in the States. What we usually do on this channel is I'll hand over to you if you just want to give a little bit of an intro to yourself, how long you've been following City for, and your all-time favourite player. So I'll hand over to you, Kels.
Oh, well, hello. Thanks for having me. I'm from the west coast of America, up in the high deserts of Nevada, if anybody knows where that is. State next to California. I started following City. I found them in 2006 because the first game of football I ever watched was USA versus Italy in the World Cup. And so I just started like following random Americans on different teams. I think Tim Howard was on United, and I just knew that was bad anyway. So it was actually Claudio Reyna who introduced me to Man City. I know people don't really think highly of him, but him and DeMarcus Beasley, I was like, yay, Americans! I'll follow that team. So yeah, basically since then, I didn't watch super consistently in the early days of my fandom, but I've been pretty diehard for the past 10 years. And my all-time favorite player is David Silva.
Oh, that's what we love. We love that. On this channel, I could talk about David Silva all day. I pretty much talk about David Silva on every single stream that we have. Yeah, I think City's all time GOAT. But that's a different debate.
I'm not. No, I'll fight that to the very end. I will.
Yeah.
Well, KDB is up there too.
Yeah, that's yeah.
And
Because
Robert's
everybody's way
threatening to
better.
take both of them over. So
People who say Silver's way clearer, I'm like, no, he's not. You are lying to yourself when you say that. It's not. It's not that bloody far different. It's very, very close. People just can't admit that sometimes. I get a favourites, man, but come on.
I put KDB. I take KDB. I don't know. That's just me. Anyway.
KDB.
Everyone's different.
Yeah, because man, look. David Silva was amazing, and David Silva, I don't even understand. Till the date of the day, I still say, how did we even end up with David Silva? I know the story anyway with the transfer stuff, but KDB, some things we've seen. I think he used to sit there and say, "Oh, let me rewind that. Did I just see that?" Some of those passes used to be, my God, at the time when he came to City. Let's not forget the PSG games. Let's not forget this other dribble where he went outside out of the line. I don't know, you've seen it. Look, he went outside. He did a nutmeg, went back inside the pitch. I was like, nah, you can't. It's just KDB all day. David Silva, yeah. But also, I know people don't talk about this man just because he cried for his cake. But Yaya, I know Yaya. My God, Yaya. My God. There's nobody else. I don't think we've replaced Yaya. I even say, if people say we haven't replaced David Silva, we've never replaced Yaya because we would never find the Yaya again.
Do you know what? It's a good shout. Yaya Toure is one of those players as well. I think if it wasn't for how his career ended, and again, a lot of that was down to his agent. You know, a lot of it was blown out of proportion, I think. But in terms of raw ability, I think there's a strong argument to say in terms of just raw ability and skill. He's probably the greatest player City have had, because if you look at any other team in the league, in any country, to be fair, there's still not been a Yaya Toure regen. We've still not had that. We've had
None.
players similar to De Bruyne, or players similar to Silva. I'm not saying as good, but we've had similar type of players. But we've not had a Toure since Toure, so it's a good shout.
Can I ask you something? Can you imagine, right? Just imagine this. Imagine right now if a Yaya Toure just fell on our laps next in this team. I'm telling you, that's the box to box we're missing. Oh my god, that guy, man! I remember. I remember. I don't know if you guys remember this. Do you remember the time when he was older and then Pep Guardiola gave him the captain's armband? I think Pep Guardiola hugged him and thanked him. He put him against Crystal Palace and he won us that game himself, just himself. KDB was there, but Yaya was played as a defensive midfielder, or I don't know if he was next to Fernandinho, but Yaya played that game. I think he as a defensive midfielder, but he still scored and still. He gave us one of the best, and Pep actually hugged him and thanked him at the end. I think that was one of his last games. I don't know if you remember that game, because man, but look at how I smile because of those times, man. Now I'm crying. Anyway.
Will has one of the all-time best songs.
Yeah.
Anytime I go to a City watch party or something, that song comes out multiple times.
Yeah, everywhere.
You're like, what the hell? Let's just sing the Yaya song. I was like, okay.
No, it was fantastic. You know, I saw as well. We're going off a bit off topic here, but it's a good conversation to have. Because I saw over the last week people talking about Carlos Tevez as well, and you know, again similar to Yaya Toure in the sense of his career at City didn't end in probably an amicable way, but over the last couple of years, I think he's been a lot more vocal about following City and supporting City, and I think that's mainly through Aguero, but. You know, for a lot of the fans that are maybe a little bit younger, who, you know, because we did pick up a lot of fans through the, you know, through the Pep, you know, the start of Pep as well, will have missed Carlos Tevez, and you know, people were comparing him to Aguero. Probably wasn't as good as Aguero, but in terms of excitement, again, he was one of the most exciting players we've ever had. He just tore defenses apart and ran through players. So I think again he. You know, if he'd finished off a little bit stronger, had another couple of seasons, he'd probably have a statue, to be honest.
Yeah, 100%. I think Tevez to me one of them players. I think if it wasn't for what he did right with the deal won the league, where he just sulked off to the Bayern game and went and played golf for however long he played for. If he had the attitude right, he could generally have been one of the best strikers in the Premier League. He easily could have been, but it's the attitude that let him down to me, which is a shame because I really love watching him play. Him and Aguero together should have been a constant partnership that we never that was robbed of us. Like that Norwich game sold all dreams. It really did, because the way both of them played that game was unbelievable.
Yeah, this is actually a good topic, believe it or not, for the international break especially. You're right, it's off topic, but I'm like, this is actually something to reminisce about. Like, if you think about this City team, we have seen players, haven't we? Even Zeko. I think Zeko, I feel bad for him because I think he wasn't used how he was supposed to be used. I think he wasn't given the opportunity. But we've had players like Zeko and even Negredo. Even Negredo, there was a point in time he had a partnership with Aguero. It was unstoppable. There was a point in time, just a small period. It's just, this City team has seen so many players that, if you think about it, we've actually been spoiled in the past years with the talent that has been in this team. Even Fernandinho, when he first came, him and Fernando, the Brazilian duo, Fernandinho was just a guy who was known for fouls. He was doing them more intentionally, but when Pep Guardiola came, he was doing more fouls that were just to, obviously, we're not, what you call them again? Tactical fouls, which were better. And Fernandinho gave us the best years of his life under Pep. But there's just been players in this team, even if you talk about Company, when Company first came before the injuries, and all these players, they're just incredible players, I'm telling you. And that's why sometimes I think when we're speaking as City fans, we are spoiled because we've seen so much talent. And if you talk about the midfield, to come from Yaya Toure, even though I like Nunes, to come from Yaya Toure, then we say Nunes is our next guy to be a box-to-box. It's just the gap is too big. The talent gap is too big.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
that first title year, we had 4 strikers. We had Aguero, Tevez, Balotelli, and Dzeko. And it's like now we have Holland and no one else who could do a job. Like, it's just kind of crazy.
It's a good
Four
thing
strikers
the
to
numbers
probably-
are so good, to be honest with you. Because
Yeah.
the numbers weren't so good. I mean, it's incredible. He's still getting he still gets pelters from rival fans. I think it's incredible. He's putting up numbers that are comparable with the best strikers in the world on basically no service.
Yeah, he's feeding on scraps this season. Yeah, because there was during international break, everyone's doing like team of the season, and everyone's like Isak. I'm like, Isak has a functioning midfield behind him, and he still doesn't have as many goals as Holland, who is feeding on absolutely
Scraps.
nothing.
Yeah. It's
Yeah,
been the whole season.
It's like, quit buying the hype, man. They're just desperate to hate Holland for some other. It's
But again, who
like,
he
I'm not
plays
saying
for?
Isak is crap, but he's not. I don't think he's as good as Holland.
It's a City agenda
just
that
don't.
everyone hates us. Is what it is. Is what it is, man.
everyone hates.
He's
us.
at Chelsea,
People think it's a
United,
conspiracy.
Liverpool. He'd be loved. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh God, if he was at Real Madrid, he would have won that Ballon d'Or for sure. I still can't believe he didn't win that Ballon d'Or. That just
The
the
Messi PR should never
justification.
been.
Oh, well, Messi won the World Cup. I don't care. I don't care.
That was bad. That was robbery. I think. Do you know what I thought? This is just me. Before obviously you start off your topics, I just thought that the Ballon d'Or organization could have given Messi that thing. They gave at the Oscars, where the honor, the legends. I think they should have just given him a Ballon d'Or to just honor him as a legend of football. As what? Okay, you've won the World Cup finally, but we honor you because you've won 6 Ballon d'Ors or 7 or how many he's won.
Yeah.
And then they could have given, they should have done something like that. I think because Haaland deserved it. Because one of the things, the goals he was scoring that season, let's not forget the Dortmund amazing goal, that kick where Cancelo, like he was just out of this world. And then he breaks the record that's been there for so long. And he does it in a Premier League with less games, because the Premier League had more games, by the way. So I don't know. I just think it was favoritism anyway. Let's not forget Salah got robbed too once. Van Dijk also got robbed. So as soon as you go against Ronaldo and Messi, it's just.
And they robbed Lewandowski. They robbed Ribery.
Yeah.
And it always benefits a Real Madrid player too. Have you ever noticed that? Or somebody in the Spanish league. Either Barcelona or Real Madrid player always benefit from the highway robberies.
Yeah. Always the case.
They're whining about Rodri not deserving it. I'm like, did you see Luka Modric's stats when he won? They were awful. They 8 goals or something. It's like, what is this?
Wow, you know what I mean? What was it? Mbappe, didn't he come out last week? He came out last week and basically spoke out against Rodri winning it, and didn't say it, but asked the question of, do you think he's a Ballon d'Or player, a Ballon d'Or winner? Well, he is because he won it. So was it? I don't know how anybody can. I don't understand how neutrals can support that and support that club. To be honest with you,
I think now that he's at Madrid, he's being told to say that kind of stuff now.
Vinny Jr. Had less goals and assists than Bournemouth last year. He had less goals and assists than most players in Europe. People act like he was his best player, highest goal scoring. He wasn't.
Well,
He was
remember
average.
Jude Bellingham was going to win it all season. They're like Jude, and then for some odd reason it just switched to Vinny with no explanation.
Please highlight some games to anyone, right? That made Vinny Jr. say, "Yo, what? He's the best player in the world." There's been no game at all I thought he's the best player in the world. Look at him at Brazil.
Terrible for Brazil.
Argentina.
You had an awful Copa America, and that was a winnable tournament. I mean, it was Argentina. They should have at least made the finals. Brazil had no excuse to not make the finals. And they might have lost, but they should have at least made it. Instead, they got eliminated in the first round. And part of it was because Vinny got himself suspended on yellow cards.
people were saying the same for. Go on, Luke. Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
People try doing it with Bellingham. Try putting him in for the Ballon d'Or discussion. And I remember that season. I remember pretty much from the last 16 onwards, he just dropped stinkers in every game. And if you're going to win the Ballon d'Or, if you're going to be Real Madrid's star player, you can't be performing like that. But the PR, I've never honestly the PR around Bellingham is and this isn't me saying he's not a good player, by the way, because I think he's great. Don't get me wrong, but I don't think he's as good as people would want you to believe. And I'd throw the English media in there as well, because every time he scores for England, you just know all they're going to talk about. They're just going to wax lyrical about Jude. I don't think he's. I don't even think he's Real Madrid's best player, to be honest with you.
Someone said he's their worst
Yeah,
midfielder. I forget who said that, but they're like, yeah, Jude's the worst midfielder at Real Madrid, and he's going to be gone in 2 years. I forget who said that, though.
No, but it's not like, okay, do you know the thing about Jude is I hate him and love him at the same time. The thing is, every time I look at him, I am jealous. I'm like, if that guy was at Man City, I'm telling you, there was a point in time I was like, I even told somebody, I was like, if that guy was at Man City, even the time we were struggling to find a DM, I would have put Jude as a DM. He just has, I think the guy, how do you say this? I don't know. I don't want to sound like a hater. I will sound like a hater. Do you know one of those people who are just meant to be a footballer or a basketball player? There was a guy in my school who all of us used to play basketball, but we had to work harder. And this guy just had the height, the physique, and he looked like a basketball player you'd make on a video game. Like Jude just looks like a football player you make on FIFA, and that's him. And to be honest with him, he doesn't even play fancy football, but he actually has a good pass on him, and he actually has good control on him, and he's just a footballer, and that's what he is, and he's useful. And players like Jude are the players you need in a team. That's why I think the thing why Kamavinga also. Seems to have an agenda against Man City.
Wasn't his father a Scouser?
Yeah, he is.
Oh.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, everyone thought that was going to, he's going to sign for Liverpool because of his dad. It's like, psych. No, he's not.
I remember Henderson trying to
gas that up.
Do you remember Henderson trying to groom him, trying to put pictures of them together, or hugging him at the England club? You remember that?
There was a Chen one too.
Lewis
during the World Cup, like
I know,
or something.
I know, Lewis. You saw that? Remember how much Henderson was twerking for Jude? Like it was hugs, trying to act like his big bro. Like that never worked. It's Madrid, man. It doesn't matter what you.
Yeah. I mean,
we should have sent Agent Holland in there. It's like that's like his best friend or something. It's like, Holland, man, what were you doing? Start whispering in his ears.
A big up, Steve. Thanks for joining, mate. No, I know what you mean. The PR machine is incredible. And Madrid's PR. I mean, Madrid's PR machine is absolutely insane.
Why aren't we hiring some of that PR?
Because
imagine how different 115 would sound if we had Madrid's PR. Like,
well, just about
you would have the entire country convinced that we were innocent.
Yeah. Do you know what? Listen, even an innocent verdict wouldn't convince anyone that we're other than City fans. It wouldn't convince anyone that we're innocent. To be honest with you, and I don't want to get into the 115. I talk about it all the time, but you know, I was on Luke's
Ugh.
channel, you know, a few weeks ago. I think someone asked, what, you know, do you care about the 115? To be honest with you, I couldn't personally, I couldn't care less, because regardless of if we're innocent or we're proven guilty, it, you know, it obviously it makes a difference for us and the repercussions. But in terms of what the rivals and the neutrals think, it doesn't change anything, because it'll either be we paid them, we bribed someone, or if we're guilty, then that's the right verdict. But you know, there's going to be very few people that are going to go along with, oh, you know, actually they were innocent. And I'll tell you for why. Because as soon as people understand that we are innocent, it'll go back to them, you know, it'll go to the point of them thinking, it's just my club isn't good enough at the moment, which is the real problem with clubs like United, Chelsea, you know, Tottenham. Don't get me wrong, you know, we've got a lot of money, but so have United, and look where they are. So, yeah, it doesn't. It won't make it.
Stan Kroenke is almost as rich as Sheikh Mansour is. He just doesn't want to invest in his club.
Yeah,
he's there to take money out of them, like he doesn't want to inject more money into it, basically. Like, and if you want to talk about ethics, look where his money comes from.
Yeah. Well, look at the profits came out today. I think for football teams and sports teams worldwide. I think United were like 6 on it, and yeah, you've got what's his name? Mine's gone blank now.
Ratcliffe.
Mr. Dyson. That's it. You've got Radcliffe sacking kitchen staff.
Yeah, he's like a 50 billionaire or something. Like, that guy is not poor.
You can't afford to pay for lunches. Crazy. Like, you can't afford to pay for anyone a lunch. You have to get lunch.
I find it hilarious when you see United fans trying to defend it. Like, come on, man, you can't defend that. You know, you're saving 30 grand a year, really.
The thing is,
Ratcliffe probably makes 30 grand a second. Like, he probably makes that kind of income. Like, he's like, that's nothing to him.
Yeah. I tell you right though. I mean, that new stadium, right, looks just seriously. It just looks like a mess. Like, what would you put right? The design itself, it just looks just like a tent. It doesn't look like a stadium.
We had a mall like that in like the late 80s, early 90s, where I grew up. I was like, oh my God, they're rebuilding Fashion Island in Manchester.
Butlins, isn't it?
Well, they're kind of they're a bunch of clowns there anyway, so it'd be appropriate for them to be, you know, put the circus in the tent.
Let's move it on to a topic that's you know, obviously come out in the last few days. I think it's been there all season really, but obviously Foden has had a mixed bag. I think it's fair to say for England in the last few games. I wanted to start and really talk about, I suppose, City's influence at the moment, you know, on the England squad, because I think, you know, over the years, you can even look back at the 2022 World Cup. You know, I think we had 5 players representing the club at that point, and you know, in the last squad, I think I mean, Walker's playing for Milan. I know it's a loan, but he's playing for Milan. I think it's just Phil, isn't it? So, you know,
yeah, that was weird.
I think you had, what was it, 7 Arsenal players or 6 Arsenal players or something daft like that.
But,
who?
I think so.
Like Rice and Lewis Skelly, and who else?
Rice, Lewis Skelly.
Saka's injured, so he's not there.
The squad.
No, I would say
they don't have a whole lot of English players off the top of my head.
Well,
unless it's like.
Do you know what? It could be both. To be fair, I literally saw it on Twitter the other day, so it's probably not the best source, is it? But the 2022 England national team, we had John Stones, Kyle Walker, Phil Foden, Grealish, and the mighty Phillips, Calvin Phillips. Yeah, incredible. Incredible. I mean, it's mad that Henderson made the squad. I think that's just crazy, to be honest with you.
Mad that Henderson got called up this time.
36 years old,
Jeez.
still playing football for England.
And his legs have been shot for like 4 seasons.
Yeah, his legs are dead. To be honest with you, I find it mad because you go to a league like that, and this is no disrespect, to Ajax or or the league, but it's not the same as going to Saudi because obviously again it's still a better level. But I find it difficult to understand how you can lower your level so much, and then when you come to a World Cup or a Euros or whatever, how do you raise your level at that age? I don't think you can.
No, I mean, well, look at Otamendi at 37, captaining Argentina yesterday. Otamendi, 37 years old, still playing for Benfica, still playing Argentina at 37. It's crazy.
He was. Do you know what? I was one of the. I loved Otamendi. I thought he was fantastic. He was a bit calamitous at times, but do you know what? A lot of the younger fans now, and all of us are happy to see Kushnov doing so well, but. Otamendi was a similar type of player. He was that player that would come in and make those big runs, big challenges. So far, Kushnov looks a little bit more less rash, but there's still time for that. But Otamendi was a top player, and it's good to see him captaining Argentina.
Some of those tackles from Husinov, though, they could be a little wild.
Yeah, but do you know what? I don't mind it.
Mostly the ones outside of the box, like
I don't mind that.
There's been a couple by the byline and whatever.
Yeah, but don't we need that, Kelster? Because there was a point in time our defenders. Oh my God! Like this is Lewis Kelster, and look, this was like this season or even last season. Our defenders, okay, look, they were good at it. I get it. Like, look, I think Pep Guardiola sort of started telling them that you don't have to go down as a defender. You just have to defend on your feet. It's incredible. But I think when where I don't have to go to the floor, I don't have to do this, especially Diaz. I've just seen him come from a very hard as nails defender to one of the most softest defenders we have. Look at what somebody. No, he wasn't.
I think Diaz. I think a lot of it's fitness.
Dimitris wasn't the god. Please, let's stop. No, with the best thing he did is cut that ponytail of his. My God, I hated that ponytail of his. Nah, I hated that.
Do you remember when Pellegrini put him in the midfield?
Oh God!
I think, was it Rashford? Rashford absolutely spun him, didn't he? I'm sure that was against United.
Oh.
I'm right.
Yeah, that game. He like Rashford. Back to Arsenal, back to us.
Defenders in the midfield.
Do you know what though? He had some all right games, Demichelis. I think he's one of them that's always going to be remembered for the bad games. And the ponytail. But,
yeah.
But he covered all right, and he was okay in some games. He wasn't as bad as Stefan Savic anyway. I still.
Stefan Savic.
Isn't it quite funny that Stefan Savic? I think he went to Atletico Madrid and actually became better, isn't it? That's Stefan Savic. Yeah, we're going to
Atletico. Nastasic.
Yeah, what?
Nastasic, another one.
Oh yeah. He actually went to Atletico Madrid and actually became a better defender. And you're like, what happened? I don't know, man.
Yeah. Nastasic is another one. He was a weird one. Like, do
you know who somehow I said I wish we had him still was Kolarov. Kolarov, I think was
Kolarov.
I loved him. I loved him. And he looked decent even when Pep was here. Obviously, he was older, but he looked decent. I think he used to look like the best. He was looking as the best out of the bad bunch. Man City. And then we had Sanya. Then we had the Cringy. We've had defenders, haven't we? We've had different. But Demetrius, you can't call him a goat. I'm sorry.
I think
Somebody's
there's a bit of sarcasm there.
I know Demetrius in DM for Bayern was class.
Yeah, he was. Listen, he had Demetrius had a fantastic career prior to City. He just joined the club too late. Then he was too old. Especially for the Premier League. But
that was our business, Lewis, isn't it? We used to get these guys when they are past their prime.
A year too late.
Yeah.
Javi Garcia.
That's why I'm hesitant about. Everyone's like Kimmich. I'm like, too old for the Premier League.
We nearly signed. Was it Koulibaly a few years back? And he's what? How old was he? How old was Koulibaly?
28, 29, I think.
Well, that falling through is why we got Diaz.
Yeah. Do you know what? I think he might. So Koulibaly now was 33. So he would have been about. How long's Diaz been with City now? Yeah, probably would have been about 28, 29. Yeah, I remember that.
He goes there. We can get him in. At Chelsea.
Because
we all thought we'd get
De Laurentiis guy, just pain in the ass.
Hates us, yeah. He hates us.
If that guy ever retires, then we can actually try to do business with him again.
Do you know
over Kvaratskhelia?
Yeah, but do you know what's funny about that guy now? What's funny about him is he's flopped actually these days. He's become a bit softer. He let go of Osimhen, and Osimhen went on loan. So now Osimhen, there's an obligation. He wants to sell him. Now Osimhen's contract is going down. Then he let go of that guy who he was saying 100 million, but let go of him for 60. So he looks like now his negotiation powers are gone now. Yeah, his negotiation powers seem to be going now.
If PSG get Osimhen as well, imagine Osimhen, Kvaratskhelia, and Dembele.
That would be unfair.
That would be unbelievable. That's
Dembele been, by the way.
That's a Champions League winning front three, that is. Easily.
Imagine if it was like PSG versus Barcelona in the UCL final.
He scores the winning goal.
Dembele's revenge again.
Yeah, that'd be a great matchup as well. Rafinha's on.
That would be a lot of fun.
Form. Well, I just thinking stuff. We were saying on the channel earlier. Lamine Yamal, 17, right, and played so many games already. He's gonna be burnt out in the next few years already. Like he's been playing way too many games.
Yeah, get him at UCL before he burns out and crashes and burns.
I want to ask. I just want to quickly come to you. I mean, obviously, I know City haven't had we all know City haven't had the best season, but why do you think? What's been the issue with City and England this year? Why do you think we've got so many? Why do you think the influence on the squad has diminished?
I think the reason being is because, well, let's go through it. So Phillips just didn't work out. Yeah. He meant to be a better player than what he was, but it just didn't work. I think his confidence. I mean, for me, right, mentality-wise, isn't good enough. He should have mentality to have kicks on and listen to. Actually, because I think he should have been a good backup Rodri, easily should have been, but he didn't show it enough. Grealish for me has not anywhere near enough for that price tag. I don't care about 6 months. I don't care. Well done, public us in 1 season, but to justify your price tag over 4 seasons is not good enough. Sorry, anyone defending him, you have to be real here. Don't lie to yourself. Be real. It's been a flop for signing. I love the guy as a person, as a player. That's what he's here for. He hasn't done enough. And that's why he doesn't play for England anymore. Foden, for me, it's just me. The illness, obviously, he's had, obviously, in terms of physicality's dropped massively, obviously, because I think what's happened to his appendix and other stuff as well going on with him at the moment, and mentality as well. Well, his mental health as well has dropped massively. I think it's a bad season. I hope he does turn it around. I'm sure he obviously with the right coaching and the right dieting, but that's a different point of view. But Stones injuries. I think that's the reason why I, apart from Foden, just haven't got the levels anymore. I just don't. I think a lot of our fans just aren't prepared to have that conversation, especially with Grealish. I'm gonna say it for ages now. He hasn't anywhere near enough.
Yeah, but isn't
Also-
it disappointing to see that? Sorry, isn't it disappointing to see that Walker has got into the team after leaving us?
God.
Oh, I think Italy suits him better. It's a slower league, so he looks faster.
Well, look, Kevin De Bruyne could right now go to Serie A and ball out. He very much could
Probably,
do
yeah.
that because he get loads of goals. It'd be
Hard to
unbelievable.
be old in the Premier League. It's just too intensive a league.
Italy, he would thrive. He would thrive in Italy right now.
Should go there. I want to chime in though as the outsider for England. Something kind of weird though is like the top English players seem to be avoiding City now. I don't know if it's just due to like the fact that, you know, I know the concept of English tax exists, but like we chased Harry Kane, and I know that whole situation with Spurs, but if he could have pushed for that move a little harder, I think we probably would have gotten it done, but then we would have gotten Holland. So
Well, I think
probably a good trade off. But also we chased, you know, Jude Bellingham and we chased Declan Rice, and both of them rejected us. And some of the stuff I heard about Rice is that he was really hesitant about. He didn't want to be a backup to Rodri, but like he didn't seem to be wanting to become a versatile player under Pep.
the thing is,
I think people are kind of like the English players, they're like set in their positions and they just want to play in their position. They don't want to. So I think they're going to avoid City as long as Pep is here, because Pep, you know, there's nothing guaranteed with Pep.
I think
Like you may come in as like a great player in a position, and it's very rare that you'll actually play in that position. He's going to probably make you play other places, you know, as we've seen so many times. What are you doing on your phone, Patrick?
I think
He's not like
you know the,
like doing this.
no. You know the WhatsApp thing where you scan a barcode. So I'm scanning a barcode. Yeah, because I want to get.
We're showing off our phones. I got the girly case.
No. I'm trying, because even Lewis asked him to send me the link to Twitter. So I'm researching the WhatsApp. So I was doing that. I scanned the screen. So I was scanning it. Sorry, my mind was where. That's funny. Now look what you did.
I just think it's weird.
The QR code is gone now.
Jeez.
Okay.
Yeah. I just think it's kind of weird and a little. I don't want to say alarming, but a reason to feel a little cautious is that why are the top English players avoiding the top English team?
But I mean,
it's a question that has to be asked.
Yeah, I think if you look at, I think there's two ways to look at it. You know, Declan Rice, Arsenal were desperate for a Declan Rice type player, and we know how much they went in for him, to be honest with you. He was always going to go in there and start, and you know, his position is absolutely locked down, and it was guaranteed that he was going to start as soon as he signed, to be honest with you. If you look at, again, Harry Kane, you know, for him, I think it was just a case of probably didn't want to do all the tracking back that, you know, Pep probably would have demanded from him. You know, even Haaland doesn't, you know, he doesn't track back as much as obviously other players in our squad, but he still has to track back. You know, I don't think you can play in a City squad and not do some tracking. Germany, I know he didn't in his first season, but you're always going to win trophies in Germany, and you know that's what you wanted. You wanted guaranteed trophies. But I think the other thing is as well, you know, more recently, if you look at, you know, how English players have performed for City. If you look at players like Calvin Phillips, I mean, that was just a nightmare. It was just a nightmare for him. It was a nightmare for us. You know, it was a signing that obviously we shouldn't have made. If you look at Jack Grealish now and where he is, you know, he's nowhere near the England squad, and that says a lot. If Jordan Henderson's getting in, right, you know, if we're being serious, Kyle Walker's getting in. But Jack Grealish can't, and he's supposedly supposed to be, you know, in his prime. So I think there's a little bit of hesitancy with English players. I think they've seen how difficult it is if you are English. Look at Foden now. You know, he's having, you know, one poor season, and there's already talks of dropping him. I've heard people, you know, saying that we should sell him, which I think is crazy. So, you know, it is a little bit of a graveyard at the moment for English players. I think it's putting a lot of people off. McAtee can't get into the team ahead of a dinosaur Gundogan. No disrespect to Gundo, but you know, again, McAtee, young player, looks good when he comes on. He can't get game time ahead of Gundogan. So all signs, if you're an English player, probably point towards going somewhere where you can establish yourself and get game time. Because I mean, Jack's getting minutes here and there, but he's not really been given full games. But I agree with Luke on that. I don't think he's good enough. But that would be my answer. I don't know what anyone else thinks, but I think at the minute, I think English players are probably a little bit worried about proving themselves in the squad.
Yeah, we're just gonna run into that problem just because of the whole quota thing, the homegrown quota. So, and if like top players are avoiding us, like we're gonna struggle with that.
Do you think maybe looking at the English players, do you think because there was rumors that Phillips gave feedback to Rice, I don't know, there was rumors, and then they obviously talk in the camp. I don't know. Do you think some of these English players will start talking to each other, saying if you go there, maybe there's a favoritism for other players from other countries? Maybe, I'm just saying, because when I used to play football, there's a lot of gossip in there. Trust me, there's a lot of football players. There's a lot of gossip in the dressing room. Trust me, there's a lot of saying, "Oh, there's this guy who plays this is what you have to do to him." But I'm just saying, do you think maybe that thing where they said Phillips said it openly, saying, "Yeah, it's not easy to get into this team because once there's a favorite, there's a favorite." Do you think that will go for us, or do you think maybe that's
I agree with
if
Steve.
you've got ability, you can do it?
I agree with Steve. I think top English players now, we're being real. There aren't that many at the moment. We're being genuine. Like a lot of them are very young players that haven't been tested at the high level yet. Obviously, there's Kane. Fair enough. He's a world class striker. Bellingham's a world class midfielder. Foden obviously there as well. But the thing is, if you look at the back, but at the defence though, it is absolutely terrible. It's terrible. Keeper average. It's a very mediocre team. Like it's got young players in it, but if I, as an Englishman myself, right, I just don't think there's no one there that generally fit. Well, obviously you got a good manager in Tuchel, who I think will do a very good job for them. But the problem is, like anyone thinking that we'll go to World Cup, I think it's too early for that because you've got to change the entire team mentality around. And also the fact is that there's no winning mentality there or in itself yet anyway. So it's not going to carry over to other players or young players anyway at the moment. So you won't see the best of them for a while, I think.
I think if you add in, I think the thing is, I think England, there's players out there that haven't got into the squad that should have been. Ivan Toney, for me, unfortunately, he's been essentially retired as soon as he made that move. However, in terms of level and quality, he would, if he'd have stayed at, if he'd have stayed in the league, stayed with Brentford, or if he'd have moved to Arsenal or wherever, he'd have been in this squad. And all of a sudden, the attack looks really good. It's not just Kane. I don't know how Watkins hasn't got in the squad. I think that's incredible. I think it was, he's had a decent season. So there are players available, and there. I just think I really wasn't impressed with that first squad selection from Tuchel. I think a lot of eyebrows were raised when you saw players like Henderson and and I get Walker to a degree for the rotation
Experience.
I think he's just assessing his options because he needs to know what he has, and hopefully this is him just like ruling out all the bad players. But anyways, I gotta go to work. So, but thanks for having me on. Bye, guys.
Thanks, girls.
The under 21s, right? I'll be real, right? Like you got Wannery, McAtee, Rico Lewis, Howard. You've got a really, really good under 21s team, but the problem is a lot of them players haven't really proved everything yet. Like, and Wannery's a good player, but again, it's his first season. He's a 17-year-old, 18-year-old. Like, you've got to give him at least a few years to get into the game. But then you got Arteta playing him every game now. Like, well, you're doing the exact same in the Saka.
Yeah.
So, are you learning from anything right now? Like, you aren't rotating him enough. Same with Saka. It's why Saka's got injured this badly because he had to have hamstring surgery. And this is where I'm sure Patrick agrees with me as well. It's where a lot of young players end up getting injury because they keep getting paid. Overplay constantly by managers who don't know how to rotate them properly, and it spirals out of control. And a lot of these players end up retiring early because of injury. It's sad, but that's where it's going for a lot of even like Yamal, even like Foden. Well, Foden is a different situation, but don't want to be seeing a lot of these young players underpaid. It ain't right.
Can I also say one thing? Like I just picked up something you said. Like there was a time when the Man City had the influence on this English team, right? And I think the influence was there, but we had the wrong manager looking after England, which I can admit. But I don't know, man. It's just even as an England manager, what makes me laugh is this. Yes, Jack Grealish, right, is being played as a winger at City, and you as an England manager, you've watched Jack Grealish at Aston Villa, and he was a free 10, so he could drift left, right, go wherever he wants, and he was very creative. Why? Because this England, do you know what this England team is missing? People forget it's only missing one thing: an attacking midfielder. There's no an attacking midfielder. Maddison is done wrong. I think Maddison deserves to be in this team because there's no attacking English midfielders out there, but they keep playing Jude in the number 10, and Jude is just a box to box. He just bombs in the box. He won't create much for you guys. So it's Maddison. Unfortunately, most of the managers seem to drop him, but I think he's the guy who can help in that midfield. But also look at Jack. Why doesn't one of the guys just say, play him as the number 10? Man City for playing him as a left winger. Let Jack be creative. Because what I've also noticed is even that Adam kid from Crystal Palace, he's so creative, by the way. Funny enough, he hasn't made the team, but he was very good this season. Everybody in this English team is just pace and power. Am I wrong to say that? There's nobody who has an eye for a pass. There's nobody who's actually very technical. It's always pace and power. One of the most technical players in Foden never gets played at number 10. They play him as a winger because they're looking at Pep and saying, if Pep plays him as a winger, I'll play him as a winger. What I thought from Tuchel is I thought he was going to be different. This is what I thought. But obviously, this is just his first games. Maybe he will eventually. I thought he was going to get somebody like Gibbs White. Gibbs White, at least he can give you the pace and power, but he can create. I thought he was just going to go full on, you know what, screw whatever safety net. I'll just go. Because that's what I keep even arguing with most English fans. I was like, your team is missing creative midfielders. Unfortunately, if you look at England, even in the Prem in general, even in the world right now, creative midfielders are rare. But Spain seems to always have these midfielders that even though they play defensive, they can create. England doesn't have that. Rice is not creative. No. He's creative via corners, but he's not a guy who can see a pass like Rodri. So I think that Adam kid, I don't know if it's just me, I think that's the right investment for England. Adam has to get back into this team because I've seen him for Crystal Palace. He's able to create for Mateta. Even Mateta was like, when this kid is not there, there's no creativity in our team. And he laughed. Like, it's either him, Maddison, Cole Palmer. That's another one missing, maybe because he was sick. But am I wrong to say the only piece missing is always a creative midfielder? And if you get a creative midfielder, please tell, what's his name, Kane, don't drop in. Please stay in the front. And that's another thing that's becoming annoying with England. Kane, this drop into midfield thing, he does it, but he forgets that there's no Son in this team. There's no Son in this team to do what he used to do. I don't know if I'm wrong to say that.
No, I agree. I agree with you. I think we definitely need more influence, in the middle. For me, Foden's not a winger. I think we're all probably agreed on that. I think he's just wasted out on the wing. But obviously, a lot of people will be waiting for us to really discuss Foden. There were comments that came out from and in the know for City. Someone who's very verified. I can't remember if it was David Ornstein or someone else. But
Jack Gorn.
Yeah,
Jack Gorn.
Yeah, that was the one. Jack Gorn. Yeah. He mentioned obviously Foden struggling with mental fatigue. Struggling in training. I said it on Twitter the other day. These people are still human. They're not robots. And he's still a young-ish lad in that team. So, where do you think that's come from? Do you think it's just a hangover from last season? Do you think it's not nailing down a position? What's the problem with Foden this season?
I think the problem for him is that his confidence has just gone in himself. It's been games where he's generally stepped up at times, right? Ipswich and that, and Brentford and that, but it's not been consistent. And I'd never set up a player's back after one good game because you've got to do it consistently over a period of time to show that you're back. And I don't think he's done that for a while now. Now, I'm not laying him because, again, I know what's like to have someone who has IBS and the stuff that he's had to deal with, obviously, this season, and loss of weight and that, and loss of, like, mental health and that. I know how hard it can be to have that. So I'm not going to sit here and pretend otherwise and try and make out something different. But the reality is, for his levels, he's way off it, and it's not going to be an instant fix. It's going to take I reckon, another few months to get through it. You might have to, for me, have a break on social media. Just go full cold turkey on it because it's clearly that the comments are affecting him, and he's to sort of cut it out now while he can. Otherwise, because if he spirals, that could be the end of his career. So he has to find a way of dealing with it now before it's too late.
It'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to know what the club are doing behind closed doors, because obviously you'd like to think the club were aware, prior to the comments dropping. I think they would have been, wouldn't they? Because one of the lads would have pulled him to one side. You'd like to think Pep obviously has pulled him to one side at some point. So it'd be interesting to know if they've got any kind of support from outside the club. Maybe I don't know, a sports psychologist maybe, or I'm sure he's getting good support. But does he? Maybe he needs a rest. Maybe he needs a break from being involved. In the squad. I know obviously we're at a tough point in the season. We need as many players as we can get. But you don't want that to happen. What you've said there, Luke. You don't want it to be the end of his career. And some players really struggle, to come back and get over those mental hurdles. Where do you think his best position is for City and for England?
I think he has to, I think where we saw him last year, that's his best position. And people, I think, don't understand. The thing is, Foden is actually creative. And it's just, you have to give him freedom. And I think last season, because what I've noticed is I think we made mistakes. So I was also looking at a few videos like, this kid is actually creative, but I think we played him to a strength where we wanted him next to the striker, to Haaland, and he took obviously ownership. That look, we were stinking sometimes last season, and we were being locked out by people who were doing a low block. And Foden, I think, saw the opportunity that look, I can shoot from outside. I'll take over the game. I'll shoot from outside. I'll score, and obviously I can take the game by the scruff of the neck. But the thing is, I think he needs to be that number 10, and I think it's the freedom that he doesn't get given, unfortunately. I think if you have, let's say if you have Jude Bellingham, let's say we go to England, you have Jude as a box-to-box, and you put Rice, putting Foden as a number 10 would work perfectly, because that's what City want. If City had a box-to-box right now next to a DM, we would tell Foden you're free, because the box-to-box is their role sometimes is to assist in the front and at the back, and Foden his role could just be like what KDB used to do: go to the left, go to the right, go wherever he sees the space, isn't it? And weaknesses. So I still think Foden is the number 10, but the only freedom I saw Foden have was last season. Apart from that, let's be honest, we've never seen Foden with freedom on the middle apart from only last season. And guess what? The first time Foden was given the keys to being where he's supposed to be, what happened? Player of the season, isn't it? It's not a coincidence that he became player of the season when he was given the number 10 key. But I don't know. It's just Pep sometimes makes me laugh. I thought that was it. When Foden did what he did last season, I said there's nobody else who's going to get that number 10 jersey. I went as far as saying KDB will have to come off the bench for Foden as a number 10. Then obviously this season, Foden had the injuries and had obviously the surgery, as people said, had few issues, and then he couldn't get into the team. But I think even going forward, just give Foden the number 10. Stop trying to play him as a winger. I think I haven't seen a good game from Foden as a winger since that Liverpool game where he cooked Robertson. I don't know if you guys remember. Ever since then, I haven't seen a good game from Foden as a winger since that Robertson cooking. But I don't know. It's just, we'll see anyway. We'll see. And when Oscar Bob comes back, isn't Oscar Bob going to be the one playing as a right winger? According to Pep, says he likes him as a right winger. So I'm sure Foden's position is the 10.
Yeah, I think it has to be long term. I think that has to be his position. But he has to nail it down. He's going to have to nail it down. Putting in some good performances. He's obviously not done enough this season to show to show long term that he's going to play there. But I agree. I think he's wasted on the wing. I think it's ridiculous he plays on the wing for England. Like you said, Patrick, we've not got enough creativity in the midfield. He is, outside of Palmer, he's the most creative player, in that squad. I like Maddison as well. To be fair, he was a player that I actually wanted to join City a few years back. I was gutted when he moved to Spurs. But I'm hoping, I think we need to everyone just needs to get to the end of the season now, don't they? I think we just need to get top 4 wrapped up. If we can win the FA Cup, great. Get to the end of the season, and some of these lads just need, a very, very long, a very long break. I think, Foden's one of them. I mean, there's nothing worse when you have Foden on the wing or Bernardo on the wing. They're very similar in the terms of there's just there's next to no impact there. I thought I was going to be left on my own.
Exactly.
I was panicking.
Right, it's all right. That's all good.
So it's not showing the full comment there, but I'll read it out for you, Steve. Give me full strength team versus Bournemouth, then give me Echeverry, then give Echeverry a chance versus Leicester. I don't see why not. He did show the full thing. I just thought he didn't. No, I agree. I think Luke, you were nearly you nearly in meltdown mode, weren't you, the other day when that source came out and said it. He's
yeah. The thing is, I know you believe a little bit of everything you read, but sometimes it's like, well, it would surprise me. That's the thing with City. It would probably that. People don't understand, right? Some things, especially with City, you can think, yeah, that wouldn't probably if it happened. It's just how City are at times, and how Pep is sometimes. Pep can be very frustrating at times when it comes to something like that. But I think for me, as long as we actually give him a chance to at least prove himself before we decide whether he has to go on loan or not, that's what I want to see. I'm not asking him to start every game. Just give us a little bit of understanding as to where he is at the moment in terms of his development. Then let's go from there and see what happens.
Yeah, I agree. I think if there's going to be I think if there was any season where we've done it with the other 3 lads, maybe not Reyes, but we've done it with Kushinov, and obviously Marmoush was always going to get game time money, but we did it with Kushinov, so why not? Why not put Echeverry in? He seems to have had a big impact in training. I think he seems to always be on the winning team anyway. So why not? Why not pop him in? I think we need that influence against Bournemouth. I think we need a player who's hungry, who's young, who's got a lot to prove. I remember Oscar Bob had the exact same impact that I'm talking about now in that game against Newcastle when he scored. That wonder. It was a wonder goal. Brought it down, put it round the keeper, and scored. And we need that. We need that type of performance again from a player. I think that I'll be honest with you. I don't want to be negative, but that Bournemouth game. I'm not overly looking forward to that. It'd be good to see City again and have something I say to look forward to. But there's not been much of that this season, has there?
No.
But I think the FA Cup should be a nice little respite for some of these players. At the end of the day, the club are focused on top 4, but I think we're all hoping to get the FA Cup. It would be a bonus for the season, really, because again, we don't really deserve much from this season, but it would be fantastic if we got the FA Cup.
How do you feel about that, Lewis? Because we had a discussion on Luke's channel. How confident are you on Sunday? Because I know a lot of people are sending me messages saying, "Oh, you're being negative about Bournemouth." Because I was like, the Bournemouth is going to be difficult. People are like, "Oh no, they haven't had."
Yeah. Well, yeah. To be honest with you, mate, and again, I don't want to be, I apologise if I'm coming across really negative. I'm just, the thing with me is I'll be honest. I can't remember the last game I went into, and even walking into the Etihad, I can't remember the last game that I was out and out just really confident. So I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I'm really confident for that Bournemouth game. I'm not, because I've seen games go to pot for most of the season. I've seen it, with my own two eyes. I've had a lot of walking out of the Etihad just frustrated and annoyed. But what I would say is this is a good time to play Bournemouth. It's probably the best time out of the season to play Bournemouth, because if you look at their previous results, they've not actually won a game within 90 minutes since the 15th of Feb. So they've not had they've had an awful March, really, because they were beat by Brentford in the last game. They drew with Tottenham, which, depending how you look at that, I mean, it was at Tottenham's ground, so I suppose it's not awful, but again, it's a draw. They beat Wolves on penalties in the FA Cup. They were beat by Brighton away, and they were also beat by Wolves at home as well at the end of February. So I think it's a really good time to play them. It's the weakest they've been, probably all season. So we should go in there expecting to win, I think, and we probably should be more confident than we are. But we make teams look a lot better. We're very easy to play against this season. We're very, very easy through the middle. Teams just slice us like butter, especially the teams that can run and are quick on the counter. And we all know Bournemouth are very quick. They play with a lot of pace. So I don't know. It all depends on the lineup, who starts. Yeah, I'm not confident. I don't know if you are, Luke.
I don't know. I don't know what teams goes up on Sunday. That's what I'm thinking about. I need to see a team that's consistent now. Like, I don't want to be thinking like, what was he today? A bad team, a good team? It needs to. We need to start getting back to a consistent level again. Not asking for elite levels, but at least just a good to a decent level where we can start building from and build a platform. Not just one win and then that's it. Start getting a few results here and there and build a bit of momentum. That's what I want to see.
Yeah, no, I agree. I wanted to get. I wasn't able to get tickets for that. I really wanted to get. I wanted to go Bournemouth for a bit now. I think that'd be a cracking. That'd be a really good away day for the lads that are going down. Yeah. Yeah. Is it as nice as Blackpool's beach? Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say it's good.
Yeah. To be fair, I was being sarcastic there. To be fair, no offense to Blackpool. I actually love Blackpool for what it's worth. Yeah, but big up Bournemouth Beach. But we've got Bournemouth away from obviously away this weekend. We've then got Leicester at home. So we beat Bournemouth this weekend. That we should be going into that game confident, because Leicester have had a horror season, to be honest with you. If we can't beat Leicester, then we don't deserve top four. But it's massively, massively important that we get a couple of wins under the belt, because we've got United away. Now I know United have had an absolutely tragic season as well, but it's the derby. Recently they've had some good performances against us. The fact that they beat us this season in that game was incredible. Yeah.
It ain't good enough right now, and we need better players in this team. People will say that, but we've got better players that can step up. But the entire not there's parts of this team that just aren't fit for purpose anymore. Like the fullbacks, apart from maybe Gvardiol, it's not fit for purpose for us anymore. And I mean, the midfield just hasn't got the right eights. It's not a machine. It's a machine that has like 2 or 3 cogs missing and it's running on fumes. It needs to be like a proper MOT check. It needs to be, because it ain't right now.
Interesting. That's I mean, I suppose that's a bit of a hot take, isn't it? It's hard going into a derby not being confident. I do think we beat them for what it's worth. I think if we turn up on the day, we've got a better team, we've got better players on the pitch, and are they 14th now?
Wait. Are you saying better team? I think. I know this is bad to say because obviously we are City fans and we can't say this, but I think this might be one of the most unknown mid-offs ever. One of those mid-offs where no, I'm not being bad. I mean, like, I know we're not mid of the table, but I mean it would be one of those mid teams. I think Luke is right. I think there's no quality. The thing about it, United is why I'm a bit scared is there's a Bruno Fernandes who can do something in here. Ahmad is back, by the way. Ahmad, just in time for us. Ahmad is back. That other fullback they have, was it Musa? Whatever, I forgot his name. There's a fullback. I like him. I wish we could have got him from Bayern instead. The fullback they got. That team, as bad as it is, it sometimes gets stable. It looks more stabilized than us. Like if you counter them, they look like they can hold on to the counter. I just feel like they will cause us trouble. I think for us to beat them, which is very silly to say, we're gonna have to play a very good game for us to beat that United team at Old Trafford. I know they're bad, but I've been watching them recently. They're actually a bit stable now than before. Yeah, so I don't know, man. It's just we don't know what City turns up, but that game at home was painful. Like we were already scot-free. We already costing saying we've won this game. I'm with Luke, man. I just feel like they might actually surprise us because I keep thinking, okay, how are we going to stop this person from? And it's bad to say because it's United, isn't it? But he's actually stabilized it a bit now. They're actually not as bad. But when they were bad, they beat us. Do you get what I mean? The time they were worse, they beat us. Now they're more stable.
I don't want to be hearing this. You're coming here on my channel with all your negativity. Talking about United beating us.
We're trying to be positive. We're trying to be. I've got to see proof. I've got to prove that we're changing. I can back this team also like everyone else, man. But we've got to see proof on the pitch. We can't just go off the hope that it happens. Like we've got to see the pitch that we're actually progressing and changing the right things. I'm not asking for a title winning form. I'm asking for some good performances where we can, as consistency, if possible.
Do you think we can? Look, do you think maybe I'm thinking about it now? So let's say we play. Let's say we have got I don't know. I can't even figure it out. My head is actually hurting thinking about this. Okay, let's say we play a midfield of Nico Gonzalez, Kovacic, and then KDB. Let's say we put KDB in there. You know what I mean? Just for the sake of it, or we put Foden or whoever. And I think it would be good to play Mamouche in a game like this. I know it'd actually be good to play Doku, but the thing is, I don't know. I'm greedy. I want Mamouche and Doku on the same pitch, but I don't think I can get that. Does that make sense? The reason why I want Doku is I know Dallo is not having a great season. You can attack him. But I don't know. I just feel like the Man City team, the players are there, but maybe Lewis is right. It depends who is put on that field. The players are there, but it depends who shows up on that field. Because I think even outpassing this Man United team, you can do it. But how are you gonna handle them on a counter? You get it? Because even at this time, look at Lewis. Even Casemiro joining the Man United midfield, he actually would look better. You know how Casemiro, we used to cook him. But right now, Casemiro going into this midfield would actually be more worse for us. I don't know, man. I just feel like Nico Gonzalez has made us look good, but I think Nico Gonzalez is missing a partnership. The other midfielders next to him haven't been great enough. I think as soon as Nico Gonzalez, Pep finds two midfielders who are good enough to be with him, I think we'll be good. I think that's what's missing right now. I mean, bad Rodri. I mean, just this season, if he finds a formula that maybe it's Kovacic, then you play Foden as the free row, or play KDB, or maybe it's Bernardo Silva next to him, or whatever. I think if he just finds a formula where he finds a good partner for Nico Gonzalez, I think we'll be cooking. That's just on mine.
The thing is, as well, I'm gonna force some positivity in here, but we're one performance away. We're one player stepping up from going on a potential run. If Oscar Bob comes back in this team and starts banging goals away, and it lifts the stadium up and it lifts us up, and we start getting wins on the belt, every single fixture we've got left is winnable. Yeah. And I'm not talking about the City from 2 seasons ago. When I say that, I'm talking about this squad now, because it's in terms of results, it's the worst squad we've had for a long time. But in terms of the players that are on the pitch, the players that we've got coming back, if Echeverry gets involved, if Oscar Bob starts, gets in and has an immediate impact, which I think he will, then I think Savio's form has dipped a little bit. If he brings his levels up and we start getting more service into Haaland, we could go on and storm the rest of these games. And it's a big if. It's a big if. Don't get me wrong, and I agree with you, Luke. We haven't seen it. We've not seen it this season. So I am. This is probably more wishful thinking than anything, but it's still true. We've still got the players to put on that run, and get that top 4 spot. So I think just try and keep the faith. I know it's difficult. I've had weeks of, like I said, just leaving that ground, not knowing how we've dropped points or how we've lost certain games. But like I said, we make these teams. We have a habit at the moment of making these teams look better than they are. We did it in that United game. Both teams were awful, but in the last 10 minutes we threw it away and they looked all right. But that was because we threw it away. If we can get in that mind frame, we can get that mentality back. There's no reason why we can't, go on a big, winning streak.
I agree. We got to see it. That's what we got to do. We got to see some progression, because otherwise, it's going to be a long rest season if we can't get that right. Because I'm not asking for constant wins. I just want to see a real movement in the right direction. That's what I want to see.
Who would start then against Bournemouth? I know obviously it's difficult now because Vario's injured.
I don't know. There's this thing, Lewis, me and Luke spoke about it on this channel. I think I joked about it. There's something just telling me in my head that he's going to go like, oh, it's a semi-final. Let me go for the odd guard. I was like, I wouldn't be surprised if Gundogan plays DM. I'm serious. I am serious. There's something just telling me that he's going to go like, oh, you know what? It's a semi-final. Let me go for the guys who are the winners. Am I wrong to say that? I just have this other feeling he'll be like, let me go for the winners. Yeah. Let me go for the guys who've done it. Even though throughout the FA Cup, he's been going for different teams, different sort of thing. Another thing I wanted to speak before we do this, we predict the lineup. I watched Nico O'Reilly, right, in the FA Cup. Do you know he's been incredible? He's actually scored more goals than the majority of the people. Do you know what I saw, Lewis? I saw something that we haven't seen in a long time. Nico O'Reilly went and played a 1-2 with somebody, right? And then I think it was, I don't know who it was. He played a 1-2, but he left his left back row. Because what Nico did is what Gundogan used to do. What David Silva or Yaya used to do, where they would do a 1-2 with their winger and get into the box. I was like, that's what we're missing. So looking at this game, I know Josko is injured. Nico obviously play as a what you call that, as a left back. Maybe, we never know. It'll be maybe Rico Lewis, and then a few centre backs. You never know. But I want Nico Gonzalez and. Put him next to Cover, because if it's not Nico O'Reilly next to him, put next to Cover. But I would like to see Nico O'Reilly next to a DM. I just feel like Nico might be something we're missing. I know he's young. Some people, but it's just the runs he makes into the box. I think we need somebody like that. But put Gonzalez next to Cover, and then whoever is in front of them must just be told to be free to create however they want to do. Because I think Bournemouth are too cocky with their defenders. Which, in all fairness, that defenders are very fast, believe it or not. Even that young Spanish defender everybody wants. So they actually play a high line and they'll give you a bit of space. So get KDB or somebody who can get those balls into to Haaland or Mamouche. But I think even this game would be good for Mamouche. I don't know if it's just me. Mamouche, Haaland, and one of the guys, Savio or Doku. but I don't know. I just have a feeling that we will see the odd guard in here. We will see Bernardo Silva, we'll see Gundogan, and he'll find space for Gundogan, Bernardo Silva, and KDB because those are the winners.
I just don't know how though, because there's no legs there. There's just no legs there. I just don't know how you keep up with Bournemouth for those players in the squad, in the starting lineup, especially De Bruyne.
Well, his legs were working against Ukraine.
Yeah.
Did you watch the game? His legs were
good.
working against Ukraine.
Look, mate, it's like he's not done. He's still got the level still. Like he can still, but he's still probably one of the best midfielders in the world or top 3. It's just that the legs are gone. Everything else is still there. That hasn't gone away at all. But when in the Premier League, when the legs are starting to go, you see it a lot more. Whereas in Italy, he'd still be smashing it right now.
Yeah,
it's just the way it is, sadly.
I think coming back to your point, Patrick, on Nico, I've been, one of my criticisms of Pep this season has been not utilising the youth players. I think if there was a season where we could have experimented a little bit more and put some of these players in, it should have been this season. The Plymouth game when Nico had a fantastic game, scored those 2 goals. Why wasn't he given more games after that? It was the same complaint I had around McAtee after the Leicester game. Why didn't he get more games after that? We were crying. We were desperate for creativity. You've got a player like McAtee. You've got players like O'Reilly. You can tell they play for the shirt. They come in. They want to prove themselves. They want game time. And it's my only criticism of Pep this season. I can let the tactics go. I can let the fixture. I can let some of the results go. It happens, and we have an off season. But it's my only criticism of Pep, and it's the only one that I have, is some of these lads should have had more game time. O'Reilly 100%. I get a bit of stick for being on the McAtee train. He's probably not going to be here in a couple of years. But I don't think there's anyone that can seriously tell me that he shouldn't have had more game time this season, because he's a decent player. Okay, maybe he's not world class level, but you're really telling me that you'd rather have Gundogan starting every game over him.
Yeah, those decisions, like especially O'Reilly's, the fact that Pep keeps saying, he's got the body out of the whole academy. He's actually tall. He's got the physicality, and he's such a great midfielder. And then you see, this is why I keep telling people that as good as Pep is, and I know people get pissed off when I tell them this, because people always think, oh, you're always trying to be different. But as good as Pep is, some of the youth, he's hyped them and then he's played them in the wrong positions. And then when they go somewhere, because I'm telling you guys, O'Reilly could have gone to Chelsea and started. You know that. We dodged the bullet not sending to Chelsea. Because I saw that Chelsea team, I was like, I know why Maresca wants O'Reilly. I knew what Maresca was looking for. He was just looking for somebody to sit next to Caicedo, and it was going to be O'Reilly. That's why Chelsea were willing to pay. Chelsea were willing to pay a lot of money. You know that, right? They were going to pay, I think, almost 50 for a kid who we don't know again. So I just feel like this season, I saw O'Reilly once next to Gundogan, and he looked good. I don't know if you saw he came in the game at the end, and he played next to Gundo. I saw him doing the tackles, receiving the ball, getting into the box, and even McAtee. Yes, people keep saying, McAtee hasn't been great, but he's been playing as a right winger. Every time McAtee comes in, he's a right winger. What is McAtee? McAtee is a number 10. That's why I'm saying sometimes, as good as Pep of a manager is, even Palmer, you played him as a winger. Every time Palmer played down the middle, he used to score. Palmer scored again for City. Remember? He used to score goals. Look at McAtee. Every time he goes down the middle, he scores. It's just, I feel like sometimes Pep likes to trust the odd guard. Like, I get it why he trusts them, but you're saying the same thing. If you're trusting Gundogan, who has no legs, why can you not just trust McAtee then? Just give McAtee the game. Play him. Don't play him as a right winger. Play him as a midfielder. I would rather, this is what I told City fans, I would rather see McAtee and Nico O'Reilly fail in that position after a lot of games, and I'll be like, okay, I put my hands up. McAtee, you were given the number 10 position and you failed. Because I saw McAtee as a number 10. Look, it's Sheffield United, or the Sheffield United. Yeah, I get it, but he was good as a number 10. He was one of the best players. I remember before the season, the season they were doing well. It's just, I keep telling people, I know the youngsters, you say they're not ready. I get it, you say that, but I would rather see them fail at a position and then admit it that, okay, they're not ready. But I haven't seen that. Every time these kids are brought on. What happens to them? They are played as a first nine. They are played as a right back, a left back. They're played everywhere, all over the pitch. Just play him.
It's bizarre because the one time where he did go with youth was Simpson Puzzi, and he was, bless him, I felt really bad for him because he was not ready. He was like a lamb to the slaughter.
He just picked him out of nowhere, didn't he? He just picked him out of nowhere.
Yeah,
I
couldn't believe.
It's like he won it's like he had a golden ticket, a golden raffle. He said, right, you're going to start today, mate. Come on. You're going to start the next couple of games. Oh, fantastic. He weren't ready. And it's almost like that happens. And then for whatever reason, he's like, well, I don't know. It's almost like, I feel like he turned to the fans and saying, well, you wanted me to play the youth and he wasn't great. So, I'm not going to do that again.
Yeah. And you know what? And that's the thing. Some people use him as a stick to beat some of the people who want youth. They use Simpson as the stick to beat you with. Every time you say something like, look at Simpson, what happened to him? I was like, but he never trained with the team that much. Yes, he used to train, but we never saw him before. We're talking about Markety, who played in the Premier League. We're talking about O'Reilly, who in preseason looked great as a midfielder. O'Reilly, who you can tell there's talent in there. I'm just saying, I keep telling people, I was like, O'Reilly elsewhere starts. And look at Chelsea wanting him. And I bet you it's not over, that Chelsea saga. I can bet you I can bet you $5 that they'll be coming back for him. They'll come back for him. They will definitely come back for O'Reilly. And would we blame him if O'Reilly decided to say, I'm going to Chelsea to play as a midfielder? No.
No, because he knows he'll get game time. Because he seemed, this is the problem for me, because these players now, these English players and young players in general, they'll look at the situation at City. They'll look at what happened to a player like Palmer, who went from being, a bit part squad player to, overnight being one of the best players in the world. And it did feel like overnight. It was. I mean, it was really. He just lit it up. And O'Reilly, again, and I say this about McAtee. I'm telling you now, do not be surprised if in the next couple of years he's at a decent top 6 squad and he's tearing it up, because all that lad needs, he just needs game time in his actual position.
Yeah.
Same as O'Reilly, just needs game time in his actual position. But there's no, when it comes to Pep, and I've said this on Luke's stream a couple of weeks ago. He makes a rod for his own back, Pep, because he'll come out after the game and he'll say, "Oh, it was really difficult to drop McAtee. I really should have played him." And you're like, "Okay, well, maybe he'll play him next game." And then he doesn't play him, and it's like, "What are you talking about, man?"
Isn't it strange that, this is another thing people say, "Oh, McAtee is not good enough." Okay, isn't it strange that he's scored more goals than many this season, right? And then he's scored and assisted almost in every under-21 game through all of them he's played, by the way. I just feel like, I don't know, it's just this whole thing where City quality, where do people get it from? There's no longer City quality in anywhere. Whoever we buy, apart from Wirtz, because Wirtz is just too good, isn't it? But apart from Wirtz, some of the players we buy, we're going to have to make them City quality. Am I wrong to say that? Let's say we buy that guy Adam from Crystal Palace. We're going to have to make him City quality. If you talk about John Stones, he was never a Pep quality. He was just having the potential. Then he became a world-class player. If you talk about Akanji, people are calling him a bonzo from Dortmund. Cancelo was not all that Cancelo. Nobody really hyped Cancelo at Juventus, until he came to City, and then he was one of the people like, this is one of the best right backs in the world. Walker was Walker. I know Walker was great, but Walker actually became much better when he came to City. All I'm trying to tell people is there's no such City quality. City quality is, I think, how much opportunity you're given, how much chances you're given. Because I keep giving an example of this, and I know a lot of people will be like, "Oh, he's back talking about Jack Grealish." I just feel like when Pep wants you as a player, that's why I saw Jack was his signing. Do you know where I saw Jack was his signing? Jack's first season was horrible. But look, what did Pep do? He played him over and over again until Jack got it. Rodri was horrible the first season, but he played him over and over. Why I see Phillips was not 100% his was, yes, Phillips, people kept on saying a lot of bad things about him, but I think Phillips wasn't 100% his. Even the Mamouche, we saw that comment he made with the Mamouche. We were just discussing earlier on, said when Matthias said, Mamouche, I had to call Germany and ask them. So Pep, sometimes you can see that this is not really his guy. Tiki came and said, we can get this. Because if you look at Markety, Even if you look at Palmer, do you remember somebody said it's from somebody from my academy? The guy who went to Chelsea is the guy who told Pep that, can you take this kid with you? Remember? That it's famous about Palmer. They said, take this kid with you to America. It's a famous story, and you can tell. Foden, he went to watch him himself, and they told him, and he was like, wow, I'll take him. I just feel like sometimes Pep Guardiola, if you are his boy, like Rico Lewis, look at Lewis. That's what I'm saying. Guys, did we ever know about Lewis? I think Marketing still has better potential than Lewis. That's just me. Maybe people hate on me, but I feel like Marketing, I saw better things from him at the academy than I saw from Rico Lewis. But Rico Lewis is his guy. He plays him no matter what, doesn't he? It's just that's where Pep sometimes has a flaw, because he would tell you, oh, this one needs game time. You're playing Rico Lewis, and he's thinking sometimes that if you play him, why don't you play Marketing the same? Why don't you give Marketing the same opportunity? Because people say, oh, Marketing has been given opportunities and has failed. Can somebody look? Can you point to where Marketing has been given opportunities? People have said he has failed. That's what people tell me. It's like apparently Marketing has failed us.
He's had an impact in every game that he's had the time to play in.
But with McAtee, the issue is Pep didn't give him the chance when he did. When he was younger, I did that out 2 years. Why don't they give him a chance now? For me, the boat is sailed, and I think what you got to do is sell on for the sake of his career. Because, again, I blame Pep for that, for not giving him the chance when he should have done. And that's Pep. That's on Pep. That is, but it is what it is. Unfortunately,
he had a great game. I was at work. I don't know if you guys can remind me. There was a game we were struggling, and Marketing came in and changed the whole game. What game was that? I remember I was at work, but somebody texted me and said, "Oh my God, Marketing just came in and he changed the whole game." I think Marketing changed the whole game. I saw the highlights. I forgot what game it was. He was subbed on. We were struggling, and Marketing came in and took the game by the scruff of the neck, and he was incredible and unplayable. He played him as a right winger, but he played very well. But after that, dropped again. So I don't know. I'm not sure. Yeah, it's just we should admit. I know a lot of people get angry at this, but I just say there's been so much talent at City that could have helped us right now while we're struggling, but I think the talent was mishandled. Yeah. I know people were laughing at me saying Liam Delap. Someone told me Liam Delap was not all that. I was like, you're lying to yourself. Can we sit here and say Liam Delap wasn't all that?
Top player.
He was a good player. Liam Delap was awesome.
He'll be at Chelsea, and I
think he will. I think somebody will buy him after this season. Yeah. Because I think definitely. And you know, another team that I thought could have used him. If I think Aston Villa saw Watkins, I think they should have gone after him. It would have been a great. But I'm just saying, there's been Latvia. Don't forget Edozie. Remember Edozie had a good preseason. Played against Spurs, was very good. I kept on telling people, what's the difference between Edozie and Doku? But Edozie had an end product. Remember? Edozie could dribble his players. But I just feel like some of these players, I get it. But Pep, I think you're right. As good as he is, sometimes with these kids, I don't think you have to just tell them, if you don't want to be here, you don't want to go. Some of these kids, I think you just have to put a shoulder around them and say, look, right now there's Riyad Mahrez, but when Riyad Mahrez goes, you will be here. But don't tell them last minute. Promise them later. But I think City at a point in time, look, let's be honest. I think those promises were not there. I think they used to tell the kids, go then. You know what I mean? They used to say, go. They used to just say, go.
I'm going to, I think we'll start to. I agree. By the way, I think all these players are top. O'Reilly, Delap. I was pushing for him to play, but I think he'll end up going Chelsea and he'll be fantastic. I want to come back to make sure everyone gets a chance for the comments. So I think I'll come back to this one. Get your opinion. FA Cup or top four? I'm going to say top 4 for me.
If you want verts, top 4.
Yeah.
Because the FA Cup's all well and good, but it's Europa League at best then. Which, I'm not against Europa League. I'm not against it. I don't mind going on a Europa League and trying to win Europa League and get that off. But if you want to return to the top, as some fans will do, top 4's the priority.
Yeah.
Or 5, but top 5. Yeah.
You agree, Patrick? You top.
I do. I don't see the use of an FA Cup now. We could have won majority of these FA Cups before when we fumbled them. Like top 4 is what we need, and if we need to convince players, because let's not forget that where City are going to rebuild, they're going to have to convince very top players to leave their clubs. I don't think you're convincing them with Europa, no matter your manager is Pep Guardiola or whoever you are. Why would Wirtz come here instead of staying at Leverkusen? Like, why would even, let's say Kamavinga is for sale. Why would he come here if we are not in top 4? Even Bruno Guimaraes, the same that they might go after him again. But why would you leave Newcastle? Like most of these players, why would they come to City if we are playing Europa? So I think top 4 is what we need. And also top 4 is also for money's sake, isn't it? For money's sake, for money, financial-wise, we have to stay in the Champions League. So yeah, top 4 for me.
100%. Well, guys, we'll wrap it up there because I know Patrick and Luke have been they were streaming on not in my I'll start that again.
not in my lifetime.
Pod. I've got no excuse. I've only been on it for an hour and a half. Not in my lifetime pod. So I appreciate both of you coming on. You've been streaming for an extremely long time. For those of you that have contributed and put in the chat, massive thank you. Obviously, we love all your questions, and I always try and get through them all as well. Do subscribe to the Not in My Lifetime pod on YouTube. They go live on X. Patrick obviously has his own channel, a True City Fan, on YouTube as well. Both real big supporters of this channel. So yeah, massive thank you to you both. Please do like and subscribe. It really does help the channel as well, and share it if you can. It would be fantastic. But thank you very much both, and I'll see you soon.